في القلب مشاعر أخفيها قد أشرقت الشمس عليها عن خطط لم أعبأ فيها ستكون بأيامي فرقا فحياتي قبل الحلقات تيه بضياع بشتاتي من دون نعيم الآيات نرتاد لنحفظها الحلقا في القلب مشاعر أخفيها قد أشرقت الشمس عليها عن خطط لم أعبأ فيها ستكون بأيامي فرقا فحياتي قبل الحلقات تيه بضياع بشتاتي من دون نعيم الآيات نرتاد لنحفظها الحلقا فمضيت إلى حفظ السور كي أقطف من خير الدرر فالآي ضياء في صدري يزداد على الظلمة ألقا غصت بها في بحر حاني ما بين أسام ومعاني أزداد برب الرحمن ثقة عملا حبا شوقا
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another live stream on the Islamic Peace channel. Today I'm joined by brother Maheer as usual. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah.
Today we're going to do a Q&A. We've asked questions on Instagram and we've received quite a few brilliant questions. So jazakallah to everyone who has asked them. And we're just going to kick it off straight away with what is your favorite event from the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. That's a difficult question. What is my favorite period?
There's a lot to pick from.
Prophet is. Well, I was just thinking about it today. I was speaking to you about it, right? Remember?
Yeah.
I must be telling you the honor we have to be part of a nation that's led by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I can never ever describe that in words.
No.
Like, how does someone describe that in words? That we are led. The leader of our nation is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
It's impossible.
Wallahi, I can't get my head around how honored we are to be able to be led by him. It's amazing, subhanAllah. But what was my favorite period, right?
Favorite event from the seerah of the Prophet? I mean,
because of how interested I am in Islamic expansion, I'll probably say the Battle of Khandaq, because and really we have to try and understand what's happening at the Battle of Khandaq. So the Muslims, they're on the brink of extinction. There's a 10,000 man coalition army on the other side of Medina, and they've dug a trench to defend themselves. They don't even know if they can trust their neighbors. And they only have 3,000 Muslims who are defending Medina, and they're starving. They are so hungry, and they're starving so much that they've tied rocks to their stomachs to stop them from falling over. That's how dire the situation was. And at that moment, the Prophet Muhammad promises them that you will conquer Syria, you will conquer Persia, and you will conquer Yemen. I think that's my hero because it gives the Muslims so much hope that, look at us, we're on the brink of extinction, but the Prophet Muhammad is promising us that, don't worry, you will conquer the Byzantine Empire, you will conquer the Persian Empire, Yemen. And in less than 10 years, the Muslims have accomplished that. Wallahi, it's amazing. I think really that is my favorite period, the Battle of Khandaq, and how they're able to win, and from there take Mecca as well afterwards. And the story of conquest of Mecca is something else. It answers that question. A lot of people say, well, was the Prophet Muhammad a warlord, a bloodthirsty warlord, a warmonger? He was nothing like that. When he took Mecca, he forgave all of them. The narrations mention that his chin, he bowed his head down so low out of humility, because he was how humble he was, that his beard was touching his camel. That's how humble he was when he took Medina. So it really answers the question of, was Prophet Muhammad a warlord? No, he wasn't. Look how happened when he took Mecca. He forgave all of them.
Yeah, the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think to any Muslim brother who knows a lot, who doesn't know anything about the Prophet. Just you have to study his seerah. Not only will it strengthen your iman, it's just the life lessons, the role model that he was. It's very beneficial, even if you weren't Muslim. Just learning from his life, there's a lot of things to be learned from him. We'll move on to another question, inshallah. We had a couple about Sahaba. So there's one question here. Which Sahabi do you draw the most inspiration from and why? Another difficult question to answer, really.
So which Sahabi do I draw the most? Which inspiration from?
Inspiration, yeah.
That's difficult. Which Sahabi?
Personally, I'll probably go for. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll probably go for Umar.
I was just going to say Umar as well.
I think you and me share a similar fascination about his life and what he, how he actually came to Islam and what he did after that. Because for someone who didn't accept Islam, you know, he didn't really have. He hated Islam actually at the start, and then to do what he did after, just touch upon that really, if that's your answer.
It shows to never judge someone by their past, because he was on the way to kill the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and from then on he became the second greatest man to walk on the earth after all the prophets.
Subhanallah.
He became one of the when he was the Khalifa, he was the most powerful man on the earth. There was no one between him and God. It was just him and God. That's it. No one could hold him to account except God. And really, he is definitely my favorite, especially today. And today, there are many times that we ourselves need to become Umar, you know, to resist the worldly desires, because he really was a man. You have to understand, when he was when he was the Khalifa, he was the most powerful man. His empire was vast empire, the largest empire at that time. And his clothes, they had 16 patches. And it shows how he resisted materialism. You know, when they were taking Syria and when they were taking Persia, when the camels of gold and all the treasures of the Persian emperor and the Roman lords, when they were coming to Medina, he started crying. He wasn't happy. He started crying because of how scared he was that these earthly possessions, they would change the Muslims. Really, I don't understand how someone can do that. You know, like, to be that powerful and then to still be so scared and be so humble at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think what I draw the most inspiration from is his bravery. That he wasn't scared of anyone. Like, when he was doing Hijrah, everybody would do it secretly, right? I think I've told you the story, right?
Yes,
everybody would do it secretly. But when the time came, people would do it like at night time when people weren't looking and stuff like that. But when it was time for him to do it, he went to the Kaaba, he prayed 2 rakats, then he got up in front of everyone in the middle of the day, and he said, I'm going to do Hijrah now. If anybody wants to make their if anybody wants to make their wife a widow, the child an orphan, and their mother cry, then follow me.
Wow.
And it gets me every time. Like, he's like, if you want to die, then follow me. If not,
I think the point is, for someone, you say that even before Prophet Muhammad took up his prophethood and started, the revelation came down to him, everyone known him as Al-Amin, right? The truthful one. The same way, Umar was known to be, he was feared. Feared. And he had power in before joining Islam, but for someone with that much power and that much, so feared, he put all of his fear straight to Allah. He put all of his he didn't care about anything else other than that and fighting for the cause. And right up until the point of his death, which you can touch on briefly, he just shows the man he was. And once again, not only can we learn from the Prophet's life, the countless Sahabi, there's a lot to learn from. So just touch upon his death and we'll move on to the next question, inshallah.
What you want me to do on died?
Yeah. How that ties in.
So when, obviously, the one thing about when he was passing away, he was making dua to Allah before he passed away, that, oh Allah, make me a martyr in Medina. Now, obviously, at that time, the only way to become a martyr is, well, not the only way, but one of the most common ways to become a martyr is to go out and fight in the battlefield. And Medina is the capital of the Islamic Empire. how on earth is he going to be made a martyr there? But Allah still made him a martyr there. When he was leading the Fajr Salah, a Persian came and stabbed him. And then obviously he passed away from those wounds. But when he was when he was on his deathbed, he was, still his concern was about prayer. He was still thinking, did I finish my prayer? Did I finish my prayer? He's asking who stabbed me, things like that. And also, then when the time came for him to die, his thigh was on the his head was on the lap of his son, and he told his son, remove your thighs, let me put my head on the floor. And his son is like, why do you want to do that? It's going to be painful. He's like, if I'm destined for Jahannam, right, then even it will be worse than the floor that I'm putting my head on. But if I'm destined for Jannah, then its pillows will be more comfortable and more soft than your own thighs.
SubhanAllah. So look at here at the point of death. Somebody who we wouldn't even think twice that he would be going to Jannah. Look at him, how humble and it's just fascinating, really, for all of us to learn. We'll move to the next question, inshallah. We have just a moment. Yeah, we're going to switch it up a bit.
Yeah,
we've had a question about practicing Islam. Obviously, us two being young brothers in college, possibly going to university, working life also around the corner. Someone asked, what advice would you give to people who struggle to pray due to lesson or work timing? So I think that's quite
okay. So first of all, before I answer that, I'd just like to clarify, I'm not a scholar, so basically I'm not going to give like a fatwa or anything, but just some practical advice I can give, because I also encounter the same problems in college. Like, for example, I have lunch from 1 to 2, and because I follow the Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion of Asr, I pray at second mithil. So obviously I can't, and then from 2 to 3 I have a lesson, and sometimes 2 to 4. So that's why my Asr sometimes I can't pray. What I do sometimes is I look, because Islam is very flexible. It's not like you have to do this. If you're going to run into difficulties, there are other options you can take. So sometimes what I do is I combine my Dhuhr and Asr. So there are practical steps we can take to overcome this, because Allah understands we have to go to work. He's put us in that situation. He knows that we have to go to work, we have to earn, we have to provide for our families, or we're studying, and He knows that. So my advice is, if you run into a particular problem about Salah, like for example Dhuhr and Asr, then speak to your local Imam, speak to a Sheikh, or you can either even message us on Islamic Peace and I'll get in touch with someone for you. So and then we can work out what to do. So like my advice is, go speak to someone and see what they say, because there are practical ways around difficulties during work and studying life.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty concise answer. It's quite interpretive. It depends on your situation as well, and depending on Salah time. So inshallah, Allah gives us the ability to still to our Salahs. We have another question just on that topic. What's your best advice to have more concentration in Salah?
So best is, I would say, probably number one, learn the meaning of what you're saying. Like if you're just reading something like Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin and you have no idea what it means, you're just reading it. It just becomes like something that you're just saying with your mouth. You don't know. It's
like reading a foreign book, without no meaning. You won't understand anything.
That's it. So how are you going to understand what you're saying? And
it's true.
When you're reading Surah Fatiha, Allah replies to what you're saying. And when you read verses after your Surah Fatiha, when you recite verses, if you know their meaning, like for example verses about forgiveness, it will bring you to tears, because you're speaking to Allah and you're asking. Like for example, sometimes when I'm praying and I read a verse about forgiveness, it moves me, because I'm thinking, okay, forgiveness, all these sins I've done, it comes to my head. And I was thinking, Allah will forgive because of all this. Look at everything I've done, and still Allah is saying, Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. Allah forgives all sins. La yaqnatu min rahmatillah. Don't give up hope in the mercy of Allah. So number one is learn the meaning of what you're saying, know what you're saying. And number two, do wudu as much as you can, because doing wudu, it freshens your mind. It gets you ready for that mindset that I'm going to pray Salah. And so once you're in the mindset to pray Salah, you'll see that you won't have that many distractions and stuff like that in your mind.
on the mindset, I think niyyah is so important. Not only starting your wudu and then also getting into prayer, you have to keep yourself focused, and whatever time you've dedicated for your prayer, just stick to that as well, inshallah. Now we're going to switch it up a bit. We've had a few questions about Islamic history post the Khalifa or Caliphate.
Yeah.
We have a few questions on the Ottoman Empire, which I know you have a bit of knowledge about. So we start off with this. Yeah. So there's a question here. What book or resources would you recommend for a brother that wants to learn more about the Ottoman Empire?
Shoot, that's a difficult question. I haven't read any books on the Ottoman Empire. I'm just going along with the flow in college right now. I would probably say read Osman's Dream. I think that one is a good way to just like really look at the foundations.
Yeah.
And there was another book titled Janissaries, but I don't remember who it's by.
The Janissaries,
That one explains how the Janissaries worked and some of the key it's trying to like refute some of the arguments that they make about the Janissaries and slavery and things like that. So I think you can read those two. But to be honest, Ottoman history, I know about Ottoman history a little bit, but I haven't read many books on it, so I'm not the best guy to ask about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem there. There's another one about two specific elements. It's actually about the Turkish series. Obviously, recently there's been a kind of a resurrection, with no pun intended, that of the Ottoman theory, starting with Ertugrul, now Osman. There's a few about Seljuk Empire, which actually came before the Ottomans. So what are your views on these series? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're accurately represented? So just give us your overall view.
Because it's a TV show, it's not going to be accurate. Obviously, I mean, the elements of it are accurate, but it'll be a lot more dramatized. It will be something that they need to add in because of certain, they just want to push, like, make it more entertaining. Basically, they don't want to push something which might not have actually happened, or might have happened, but they're going to overstate it, stuff like that. So, but still watch it because I think it's really good. It helps you to understand Islamic history. A lot of people today, they don't really like watching 1 hour long lectures and stuff like that, and they don't really like reading 600-700 page books. I don't, but you have to, obviously, if you want to learn about it. But start off by watching maybe these TV shows because they can help you to understand Islamic history, especially Seljuks. They are very they don't much isn't studied about them by the Muslims of today. They barely know who the Seljuks are. For example, I was speaking to someone and he was telling me that whenever we study Islamic history, we look at the beginning and the end. And it's true, a lot of people know about the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, they know. A lot of people know about how the Ottoman Empire came to an end, but very few people know about the middle stages. The Seljuk Empire was one of the largest empires to ever exist in Islamic history. It was large, there was a lot of scientific advancements. Even Imam Ghazali and a lot of other big philosophers and big scientists lived and operated under the Seljuk state. So I think, definitely with Seljuks. And the TV show was actually really good. It's been a bit disappointing the last couple of episodes, but generally season 1 was, I think, really good. Except nobody dies, that's the problem. I don't know why. TV show.
Personally, we both watched season 1 of the Seljuk series. I don't know. After the disappointment of Osman, the first couple seasons of Osman, I don't know, leave it to your opinions. If anyone has any opinions on the series in the comments, inshallah, just let us know. But for us personally, Osman has been...
it's gone down. I was just watching the latest episode. That one was decent. He some kids got kidnapped and he had to try and bring them back. So it was decent the way he did it. But
it's just getting recycled, innit?
It was so weird, man.
Yeah, that's true. Just have a few more questions to go through, but just to wrap up on the Ottomans and Islamic history, we're going to ask this one. It's a big one. Maheer, who was the greatest sultan in your opinion?
Oh, somebody asked that in the comments, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That's so difficult. In the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
Why do people ask such complicated questions?
I mean,
I just asked, like, what did Sultan achieve? Okay, who was the greatest?
I mean, by I mean,
What do you
you could take the easy route out and say Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror,
Yeah, because
because of the magnitude of what he achieved. But obviously, there are a few. You could even start with Osman,
there
seeing
was
as
one
what he
comes
started.
apart from Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih definitely comes to my mind, but there was one more. A couple more actually. Sultan Salim the First, who actually
Yeah.
expanded the empire by 70%. So he did a lot of expansion, and then also Sultan Suleiman, the first, who ruled for nearly I think 60 years, and he also expanded the empire to great lengths, and he's sort of consolidated the control over the empire, the laws and things like that. So it's between them three who's the greatest.
Just you personally. I'm sure people have their own opinion as
Objective,
well.
obviously, there's no objective answer, but I'd probably go with
No, me personally, just
Would
to
you
give
go
you some time to think, I'll probably go for Sultan Mehmed Al Fatih. I think what he did, and obviously the difficulties he had even getting, obviously he was Sultan at a very young age, didn't work out, had to
at
go
the age
come
of
back into the
21
fold.
or
Yeah,
23?
no, but then he had a brief stint, I believe, when he was 8 years old. That didn't last long.
14, I think.
Yeah, or I don't know. To be honest, there's all these different interpretations. This is why you need to like broaden. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, he had so on his second opportunity, really took it, and yeah, now he's gone down in history for doing something that hasn't been done, and also fulfilling the prophecy by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's for me personally. I think.
I'll
But
probably go for
the others, I guess, in recent times, if you're talking about expansion, empires, and actually keeping Islamic values, keeping the faith, I think the other two you mentioned as well are actually quite significant. So yeah, inshallah, people who want to know about that, maybe there might be future videos, or if not, you can do your own research, inshallah. These we have a few from the comments. Inshallah, if you have any questions that you would like to get answered that aren't too difficult or complex, inshallah, leave in the comments and we will reply. We're gonna switch it to this. What are the best times in the day to do your du'as? Is it after salah? Is there specific times?
why, guys? Why?
Is the comments asking?
Okay.
Well, you hear
I just wear a hat, man. I don't know how to answer these questions.
no, you hear Asr is quite important. Fridays.
Yeah,
Certain
okay.
times on a Friday.
I'll go through some. Tahajjud definitely is the daily opportunity.
100%.
Prophet said that the dua made at the time of Tahajjud is like an arrow that doesn't miss its target. So definitely try Tahajjud. There's also and also obviously the hadith about Tahajjud. You know, Allah comes down to the lowest heaven and asks about I said, I know my servants awake to ask me so that I may give to them. I know my servants are awake to ask forgiveness so that I may forgive him. So, yeah, what are you talking about? Okay, so, and then there's also, after Asr and Jum'ah, definitely the, Sahaba, yeah, this is amazing. It's something that we need to reflect on today. That Sahaba, during Asr to Maghrib, they wouldn't, if somebody would come and ask them for advice, for a fatwa, they wouldn't even give it. Because of how consumed and how dedicated they were, that time of Asr to Maghrib, they would spend doing dhikr and dua only. Imagine someone comes and asks them and they wouldn't even give it. This is how important that time was for them. And us, we can't think about Friday evening. What are we going to do? We're going to go out with our friends and we're going to go do that, have some food, this, that. No, man, go make a dua. That opportunity Allah is giving you every week. Allah wants you to ask Him. Ask these questions. Sorry, don't ask these questions. Go ask Allah. Asking for things because He's given you that time. So instead of going out, you can go out after Maghrib. Asr to Maghrib, very short time. It's about an hour. Just ask Allah. So and yeah, leave it at that. I don't want to talk about any other ones because I don't know how authentic.
No, that's fine, man. Don't stress about these questions. See, look, you ended up answering it. Fine. Now we're going to switch it back to a place that you've been a couple of times. So maybe you can just share your views on this. You have a couple of videos there as well. Would you recommend going to Speaker's Corner? What are your overall views of what goes down there at Hyde Park?
Speaker's Corner. Let me ask you. You came with me once.
I did. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I mean, hectic. It really was. I
Yeah.
guess there's some people that obviously you have your good debates there that are civilized. We actually had a discussion with somebody who was quite civilized, although we didn't really agree with what they said and the points weren't making a lot of sense. At least we were all civilized. We weren't shouting at each other's faces. There were others there, quite hooligan like, who had masks on and they were surrounding people. It's not nice, to be honest. If
Yeah.
somebody is trying to preach their views and you come and ridicule them as well, it's not
I
nice. And
wouldn't-
also, there
Yeah.
were people just standing and just shouting to walking about. It's not a good reflection. However, if you do go on a good day and there's good speakers there and you have civilized discussion or certain aspects, even when we went, you got the certain corners that were actually quite civilized and the discussion were probably very in depth.
One thing I would say, don't go there for knowledge, because you don't want to learn Islam from
No,
random.
you'll go there for confusion if you want to go for
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well, like
wanna
you go there. I know a couple of people who ask me questions and stuff, right? Who go to Speaker's Corner, and they're literally they get so confused by some of the stuff that people are saying at Speaker's Corner.
So
People have no knowledge, so don't go there for a thing. If you know a little bit of stuff and you want to go there, then go and speak or maybe listen. And if you have, but make sure that you have access to someone who can ask questions to if you get confused. Okay, it's necessary. Me, when I go there, I have so many questions in my mind, yeah, and straight away, either the next day or as soon as I go home, I'll message like the Imam or something, and I'll ask him, I heard some of this stuff, what does Islam say about it, and stuff like that.
yeah,
So I'll definitely say that go ahead and so if you do go, don't go there for knowledge. If you go, maybe like listen to stuff, make sure you ask someone. But I mean, there are like you said, there are constructive discussions there. Like if you go and listen to people like Ali Dawa or Muhammad Hijab, Adnan Rashid, those guys, we can actually learn a lot from them. Adnan Rashid is actually my favorite speaker there because we share a common interest and common love and passion for Islamic history.
very nice. Yeah, so just to reiterate, if you go Speaker's Corner, go for the experience, but don't go there taking it too seriously unless you're having a civilized discussion, because you might just end up hearing a lot of information that don't make any sense at all. And on that topic, you did mention him briefly. Are you looking forward to the Muhammad Hijab versus Jordan Peterson debate? It's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah,
Muhammad Hijab, he refutes a lot of people. David Wood obviously had that debate with him as well. So what are you looking forward to?
Looking forward to that. Jordan Peterson he's made some videos where he's made some Muhammad Hijab's covered as well, like some historic errors. But I think because Muhammad Hijab said that they actually had a good discussion, unlike most of Muhammad Hijab's debates, it wasn't just Muhammad Hijab having to educate the other person.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson himself is actually a very knowledgeable person.
Yeah,
and so the fact that they had a very constructive discussion between two academics, I'm looking forward to it so much. I thought it was November 13th, right? And literally, because on his thing it said December 13th, but I thought it was November 13th. So I kept going on Jordan Peterson's YouTube channel, like, where is it? But why is it not coming out? And like every hour I was looking, okay, maybe it's gonna come out later. Then I see it's December 13th. I'm like, what an idiot.
Okay, so we have a few weeks to prepare for that. Right. There is somewhere that you could probably end up finding good information from Muhammad Hijab. He's a speaker that even when he's at Speaker's Corner, somebody that you know that he's quite knowledgeable and he has evidence to back up, which is quite important. Inshallah, we're reaching the end. We only have a few questions left from Instagram. Of course, if there are any valid questions in the comments, we will bring that to light. Here's one where you could probably go on for days, but I just want you to give me a short answer and keep as concise as possible. What do you think of the silence on Uyghur Muslims, not only by many Muslim leaders, but also the world in general? What can you say about that?
Politics. Everybody just has their own view. Obviously, the Muslim leaders won't speak because a lot of them are actually, they have a lot of trade with China. If they start speaking about China, Allah is finished. China will deal with them, like sort of suffocate the economy and destroy the country. So I think because of that, a lot of the Muslim leaders aren't speaking out, and obviously that still is an act of cowardice, and justice will be done. But what I was saying is about, what did you ask about? Oh, normal people, right? That's the thing, because it's not much even spoken about it on the media.
You don't know what to say. You don't know what to think. You don't know what to believe.
People, it's not like about what to know, what to believe. It's just that people nowadays Muslim Ummah, they're more concerned about themselves and stuff like that. They don't really have pay much attention to the Ummah and its concerns and what's happening. Like even with Palestine, there was 2 protests that had a lot of people, and that's it. I attended when I was attending the third one, literally it was about, I think 3,000 people. That's it. Compared to the second one, which had 200,000 people. That's it. People could go to 2 protests, take a few videos, take a few pictures, and khalas, the cause is finished. Palestine has been liberated. And honestly, it's a complete joke. People aren't
just on the point. We won't go into specifics about Uyghur because the Uyghur prosecution, because that we could be going on for days, and also the fact checking on that as well would be quite complex. So we need to get our sources ready. But if we're talking about that aspect, where you're talking about the protests, there was a protest about the Uyghur Muslims the other day, and again Mohammed Hijab starred, and there was obviously like clips going about in front of the Chinese embassy. Going back to that point of the Palestine protests, there's a lot of people so self-indulged, and they'll go to do a picture, a couple videos, whatnot. If you are not willing to help, and if you're just going there to protest and scream and hold a flag for a bit with no actual aim of helping,
Instagram,
upload it to Instagram, please do not go. It's as simple as that, really. Don't go for a few clicks and like put Free Palestine in your bio for no reason. There's not me dissing or anything. We saw the same with BLM as well. A lot of people do it to look good, but please, if you're willing to donate, help any way you can, first of all, I'll say keep it quiet. But if you do that and then you're willing to post, okay, whatnot, that's fine. Don't go for the posts. Don't go for the experience. Don't go because your friends are going, so you feel like going. Just please go to genuinely make a difference. I think that would be my point on protests and injustice in this world. Just please try to keep it to directly helping, not just helping in through social media and stuff, because most of the time doesn't help. Okay, how many questions do we have left? Another one about Islamic history, but I don't know how much depth you want to go into this. Is there one piece of time in Islamic history that you would consider as your favorite, or the highlight, or the best?
Obviously, I think anybody who has a history conversation with me knows the answer to this. My favorite period is the early expansion. Particularly under Umar radiallahu anh and the leadership of Khalid bin Walid, because Khalid bin Walid is, I don't know what to say. I mean, he's such an amazing, like a great general, powerful, I don't know, innovative as well. Like the things he used, the sort of strategies he used, they're very innovative as well, and like according to his time. He did, like, especially his use of cavalry and things like that. I think definitely that period, like
the early expansion,
how quickly the Muslims were able to expand, and this claim that a lot of people make, and so they make the claim that the reason Muslims are able to expand so much is because the Romans and Persians have been fighting each other for so long. Okay, now if they'd been weakened by fighting each other, what about the Muslims who just fought a 2-year civil war? The Arabs, who just fought a 2-year civil war. The Abu Bakr Radiallahu who was fighting the apostates, the Battle of Yamama and things like that. So many people were killed. So the Muslims became strong when the Muslim. What? That does not make any sense to me. The Muslims were killed and they became strong. But did they die and become strong and they came and fought you again or something? I don't understand. What the hell are you saying? And but the Romans and Persians, they became weak because they died. So that makes sense. But when the Muslims die, some reason they become strong.
I mean, to be honest, you can see this. You can see this in real life. If anyone starts to get successful or powerful, there's just any excuse to bring them down. You'll try.
Really stupid, and it's an attempt to discredit the spirit of Islam, which was done through divine help and divine inspiration. And unless you take that into account, I don't know if I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this during Salahuddin live stream. That unless you take into account the divine inspiration, the divine
you did mention that.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will not be able to. And honestly, this was, you just mentioned Muhammad Hijab, the speech, right? He gave at the Uyghur protest.
Yeah.
one thing he said is that you cannot defeat a person, a Muslim, who when he looks down the barrel of the gun, he sees paradise. Wallahi, this is who Muslims are. When they were fighting the battles, when the Muslims, the Sahaba, when they were fighting these battles, if they saw in front of them an army that was 200,000 men strong, and they only had 500, they'd say, "Let's go fight them. Either Allah will give us victory, or we will have Jannah." There's no loss for them. They'll say, "We'll fight, and let's fight as hard as you can, because if we die, we'll attain the great reward of Jannah." They want to.
I guess this is why Islamic history is so fascinating, because I think if you compare the level of faith, obviously I'm not trying to imply anything to our viewers, but the level of faith, I think it is justifiable to say their faith was on a different level to us. Obviously we have a lot of, our circumstances are different, our lives are different, but if we just look at the lives and actually try to increase our faith, and obviously just even try to reach a somewhat similar level of taqwa to them, our lives will be completely transformed. Inshallah, I'm just scrolling through the rest of the questions on Instagram, and it seems like there are none here. We've gone through the comments, and I don't think there's any more to ask that would actually be answerable by you, Brother Maheer. I think we will leave it here.
Somebody else, can you explain what is the main difference between Sunni and Shia?
Oh God! I mean, guys, do you want?
All I do is wear a hat, man. I don't.
Guys, you guys want us to be here for 2 hours, and you want us to be typing with a laptop?
I don't know, like, honestly.
No, okay. So I think our final comments would be: Jazakallah to everyone who asked a question. Hope you are satisfied with our answers. Obviously, we didn't go into depth too much about them, but obviously, I hope, judging by your answers, Brother Maheer, you did all right. So Jazakallah to everyone who asked them on Instagram. I think we answered a couple from YouTube. And once again, if you do have any other Q&As planned in the future, just make sure the questions aren't too complex, because you should expect answers from a sheikh, not from a couple of enthusiasts like us who are just a couple of students. But we do have enough knowledge to answer some questions, but obviously some are quite difficult for us. And let's leave that for the sheikhs, inshallah. Any more comments from you, Brother Maheer?
No, same as you. Thank you everyone for asking questions.
Just
something enjoyable and interactive, something different. Because you want to start being a bit more interactive with our audience.
100%.
So it was a bit more interactive towards you guys, and it allowed you to learn a bit more about who we are, and not just some guys who give a 1-hour lecture and that nobody really pays attention to more than 2 minutes of. So hope you guys found it enjoyable.
That's just another direction we're trying to take Islamist peace in. So inshallah, stay along for the ride. Stay connected on Instagram, YouTube, and any queries you have about us, just let us know, inshallah. Stay supporting Islamist peace. So with that, we'll finish the live stream. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بعد الذكر تبارك وقتي، وازدادت قوة ذاكرتي، والتوفيق أضاء حياتي في هدي وأنار الطرق، وسمت في الخيرة أيامي، وتجمل قولي وكلامي من عذب معين الإسلام، أحسنت النية والخلق، فالحمد إلى الله تعالى من جاد بخير يتوالى، للحافظ يسرا ومنالا، ودروسا في القلب ستبقى، فالحمد إلى الله تعالى من جاد بخير يتوالى، للحافظ يسرا ومنالا، ودروسا في القلب ستبقى، في القلب مشاعر أخفيها قد أشرقت الشمس عليها، عن خطط لم أعبأ فيها، ستكون بأيامي فرقا، فحياتي قبل الحلقات تيه بضياع بشتاتي، من دون نعيم الآيات نرتاد لنحفظها الخلقا، في في القلب مشاعر أخفيها قد أشرقت الشمس عليها عن خطط لم أعبأ فيها ستكون بأيامي فرقا فحياتي قبل الحلقات تيه بضياع بشتاتي من دون نعيم الآيات نرتاد لنحفظها الحلقا